What is up, Janksters? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet, and today we have a special deck that's here to address a specific problem that is out on the Arena client right now. Now, I understand the situation you're in. New Capenna is out, things are looking fun, you want to play with some of the new cards, there's some great brews running around out there, but you don't have any rare or mythic wild cards. Don't worry, I got you. This is a budget Reanimator deck that does not include a single rare or mythic in the entire deck, including the mana base. So this is built around a card called Dusk Mangler. The reason that I was inspired to build this deck is because I was actually trying to build a Grixis Reanimator deck using Lord Xander. And I included Dusk Mangler as like, Xander light. Like if I get my hands on Dusk Mangler, okay, fine, it's something, but at the end of the day, like Xander's what I'm trying to do. The truth of the matter is, Dusk Mangler actually outperformed my expectations in a big way. The card is very, very powerful if you can cheat it out early. Dusk Mangler says, as an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature, discard a card, or pay for life. Well, we're cheating it out, so we're not really too worried about that. But you'll notice it says or. So we either discard a card, which is okay. We can sacrifice a creature. We'll have bodies to sacrifice, so, well, potentially. So that's not too bad. Or for life, which is not the end of the world. But again, we don't love that. We'd rather avoid that cost if we can. But when Dusk Mangler enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature, discards a card, and loses 4 life. So we're forcing our opponent to deal with all 4 of those modes every single time Dusk Mangler ETBs. You'll love to see it. So the goal is, as you can imagine, get Dusk Mangler into our graveyard and get it reanimated super duper fast. We also have a lot of interaction because we have a lot of great interaction and a lot of great graveyard fuel cards at common and uncommon. So let's get into that package a little bit. So we've got Eyetwitch and Fading Hope at our 1-drop slot. Fading Hope buys us time. It prevents our opponent from getting in for early damage, and it also helps us scry to set up our hand. Eyetwitch, it's a phenomenal blocker. Also, Eyetwitch is a discard outlet. It's often easy to forget because of the lesson package that's out there that one of the modes with Learn is to actually discard a card and draw a card. So if we have Eyetwitch down on 1, chump block something with it, we can use it to discard Dusk Mangler and then draw another card. So that's an option. Don't forget about that mode. It's very easy to forget. Now, that said, we do have a lesson package in the sideboard, just in case. If they're relevant, we can go grab one, but you know, it's also a good discard outlet. And my cat has decided to make herself known on my desk, which is quite all right. All right, so those are our 1-drop slot. And the 2-drop slot, we have Infernal Grasp. This is a very powerful kill spell. It's just, it does what it does it well. The loss of life is meaningful. Like, you don't want to hit a 2-power creature with this because it's kind of a wash. Although your opponent loses a resource for later, but you do spend a card to do it. So it's one of those things where you got to pick your targets. You know, you have to be selective about it, but when you just need to kill a creature, Infernal Grasp does it better than just about anybody. We also have Tainted Indulgence. This is a new card from Streets of New Capenna that is very powerful. If you are in Grixis, if you're in Dimir, if you're in, if you enjoy any brew, basically, or Esper, that involves blue and black, give this card a look. It might fit in your deck. It's very good. It says, draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard. That little quasi-delirium effect, not hard to get to if you have a good mana curve in your deck. So, at the end of the day, this becomes a draw 2 for 2 at instant speed. Pretty fantastic. It's just good stuff. And in the early game, it helps us discard our Dusk Manglers into our graveyard. Perfect. It's exactly what we want. Maestros Charm. This is another card that overperforms in a big bad way, especially when trying to get to that delirium effect because of its first mode. Look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of those cards in your hand and the rest into your graveyard. If you have a starting 7 with 3 lands and a Maestros Charm in this deck, you're golden. You'd really, like, as long as you've got your colors represented in your land, so you can hit Maestros Charm on 3, you're probably going to be fine because that mode tees up exactly what you're doing, because even if you don't have a reanimation spell in hand, or even if you need to make sure you hit your 4th land drop, that can get you, it takes you 5 deep. You get to pick any card from among that list, and then the rest go into your yard. So that's a great way to get Dusk Mangler into. We also have another Mirrorshell Crab as another potential reanimator target. So Maestros Charm is great. It's just a very good card. But there are some other modes as well. Each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. If you're racing your opponent, that can mean the difference between victory and defeat there. Or it deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. So it can blow up biggest threat if need be. So this, I think, is a highly underrated charm. It's just excellent. Actually, all the charms from New Capenna are pretty fantastic, and they're all at uncommon. So if you're looking for budget cards to craft with your uncommon wild cards, the Charm sequence is excellent. And in this case, Maestros Charm fits this deck perfectly. We also have Graveyard Shift. This is a new Reanimator spell. It is not uncommon, and by not uncommon, I mean it is completely and totally ubiquitous for Wizards to print a 5-mana Reanimation spell in a set. Now, they are not created equally. There are some that are decent, and there are some that are total waste of time. You know, you have Diagraph Rebirth from Midnight Hunt. Excellent. You have Edgar's Awakening from Crimson Vow. Very meh. It's okay, but not great. And then you've got Okiba Salvage from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Very forgettable. Like, it does the job, but it's not great. Like, Graveyard Shift makes most of those obsolete right out the gate, with the exception of Diagraph Rebirth because it has the cost reduction flashback, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, the only reason we don't have it in this deck is because it would require us to add green. We're not looking to do that. But Graveyard Shift, spell has flash as long as there are 5 or more mana values among cards in your graveyard. It has flash. You can flash reanimate you can flash reanimate. Reanimating at instant speed, if you time it right, is amazing. You'll often want to do it right with Dusk Mangler specifically. It works great after attacks. If your opponent is attacking with 2 creatures, flash reanimate a Dusk Mangler. They have to sacrifice one of them, and now you have a 5/4 body that can soak up the other one. Great. Like, it's absolutely cool. Yeah, so that's very, very useful. Graveyard Shift is very powerful. I love this card, frankly. Like, when I saw it at spoiler season, I was like, this is going to be good, but I don't know how good. Now I've got a chance to use it, especially with Maestro's Charm, teeing up the flash. It's worth it. This card's great. Yeah, so I love it. I would highly recommend, if you enjoy playing Reanimator, give it a look. That said, one of the reigning just kings of standard Reanimator is Return Upon the Tide, and that has not changed. Return Upon the Tide wants to be in an elf deck, but it's way better when it's not. It says, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If it's an elf, create 2 1/1 elf warrior creature tokens. We don't care about the elf tokens, to be honest. I play this card. I have played this card in dozens of decks, and I genuinely forget that it creates elves, because I'm never reanimating elves with it. The power of Return Upon the Tide is in that foretell. Being able to foretell it for 2, so on turn 2 or 3, you tuck it in the foretell zone, and you can reanimate on turn 4. The fact that it gives you that option to hit a reanimator spell on turn 4 is a world of difference. So that can be incredibly powerful and tee up some really good early game setups. So Return Upon the Tide is great, and the floor on it is pretty low in that it's just another 5-mana reanimate spell. So worst case scenario, it's a 5-mana reanimate, much like Graveyard Shift. You just don't get to cast it at flash speed. So we want a lot of reanimator spells in this deck, which is why we're running 4 of each. We want to hit those. We want to hit them. We want to hit them hard. We also have Mirrorshell Crab. I mentioned this a moment ago. Mirrorshell Crab does a couple cool things. It is a 5/7 for 7, so with ward 3, so it's got a decent body. It's not like your opponent has to deal with it when it's on the board, or at least acknowledge it. It's not quite as good as Dusk Mangler, although notably it has a higher toughness, which in a way might actually be to its detriment in this deck, because with Dusk Mangler, well, not to Mirrorshell Crabs, but with Dusk Mangler's low toughness is actually a benefit, because if it dies, we get to reanimate it again and get that ETB again. Like, that's what we're trying to do to kill our opponent, is use those ETBs. If we're swinging with 5 power, that's not bad, but anyway. But Mirrorshell Crab, you got a 5/7 ward 3. It's a great blocker. It can soak up a ton of stuff, and it has a channel ability where you pay 3 and discard it to counter target spell or ability unless its controller pays 3. So it's kind of like an overcosted mana leak, but more importantly, that puts Mirrorshell Crab into our graveyard. So Mirrorshell Crab can discard itself out of our hand, get an early tempo advantage, and tee up an early reanimation spell. And it's at common. So it's exactly what we're looking for. Now, is this deck going to be as competitive as a tuned in Grixis Reanimator shell running Lord Xander, or maybe even Titan of Industry or Coma or any of those reanimators, or Toxrill, any of the big reanimator targets that are out there in the meta right now? Probably not, but to be honest, don't sleep on Dusk Mangler. I think this card is shockingly good with what's going on right now in the meta. And like I said, I've had it and Xander in a deck together, and I found myself going for Dusk Mangler more often than not. So it's just good. Like, I think this card is actually quite solid. But don't take my word for it. We're going to jump out onto the ladder, and I'm going to show you what this deck can do, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to really show it off. You'll also notice in our mana base, sticking to the theme, we don't have any rares or mythic lands. In fact, all of our lands are common. We have some basics, of course. We also have the Waterfront District and Tramway Station. These are the dual lands that you can cash in for cards later in the game. So not amazing. These are more for limited, but you know, we're going for it. We also have Maestros Theater. This is a new Evolving Wilds that gains us a life. You have to sacrifice it the moment you play it instead of waiting around to crack it like you do with Evolving Wilds. But you and you can only grab an island, swamp, or mountain. and they have to be basics. So Maestros Theater can fix our mana nicely, because if we're, if we have a Maestros Charm in hand along with 2 other lands, Maestros Theater can just get us whatever color we don't have. So that's nice. It's pretty good, and the duels are useful as well. So this is one of those things where you could put in the gain lands that were reprinted in Kamigawa. If you wanted to put those in, that's not, you could do worse. But I decided to go for the draw lands instead. So that's the deck. This is my budget Reanimator list. Oh, also the lesson package. You'll notice we have Environmental Sciences, Start from Scratch, Inkling Summoning, Expanded Anatomy, Intro to Prophecy, and Intro to Annihilation. I know what you're saying. Wait, where's Mascot Exhibition? How can you possibly have a lesson board without a Mascot Exhibition? Well, Mascot Exhibition's a mythic. Therefore, it's off the table. As well as Illuminate History is a rare, and Teaching the Archaics is rare as well. So those were off the table. So we weren't able to use those and stick with the restrictions that we have given ourselves here. But that's the deck. Let's take it out into some gameplay, see what it can do, and I look forward to your feedback as well. If you have any comments on this deck, please leave them in the comments below. It would mean the world. And while you're down there, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like and subscribe buttons, I would appreciate that very, very much. Thank you so much, and yeah, let's go. All right, we got 3 lands. We don't have any way to stock our graveyard aside from Eyetwitch, but the double graveyard shift is interesting. I think we keep this and let the Maestros Theater go grab up an island, is my thought. I'm going to play out the Waterfront District first. All of our lands that are in our current hand come into play tapped. It's mildly unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Blood-Tithe Harvester. That card doesn't suck. Is what it is. All right, I'm going to throw out the Tramway Station. Here comes the Eyetwitch. This might have been a mulliganable hand. Mulliganable? It's not really a word, but let's go for it. We're going to block here. Could use this opportunity to discard the Mirrorshell Crab, but I don't think we want to do that. Inkling Summoning gives us a body that they have to deal with all of a sudden, and we do have 2 black mana sources down already. If we draw into an untapped land, that's an option. I think I want to grab the Intro to Prophecy, though. Yeah, no untapped lands for us, apparently. That's unfortunate. Truly unfortunate. This is going to go grab us an island and, more importantly, gain us a life, because we're about to take 6 damage next turn, which hurts a lot. Fading Hope can help us out with that to some degree. Well, there's a good chance they follow this up with a Fable of the Mirror Break, in which case bouncing the Treasure Goblin is probably where we want to be. Another Blood-Tithe Harvester. My goodness, how many Blood-Tithe Harvesters could you possibly have, opponent? Not mad at the idea of an untapped land, but the truth is we need to dig into some gas. We really need a Maestros Charm here. That would be fantastic, because that would help fill our yard in exactly the way we want. Now, our opponent did miss a land drop, so that is enticing and intriguing. I'm going to go ahead and hold up the Mirrorshell Crab to deal with that Blood-Tithe Harvester when it comes back down, or whatever other threat they might try to mobilize on us here. And that's also going to put a creature into our graveyard that we... well, we won't be able to hit it next turn unless we draw into some untapped action, but by untapped action, I mean untapped lands, of course. But that's okay. It's all good. Yeah, this is a bit... Oh, they're in Jund. Okay. Jund midrange is actually a very powerful archetype, so can't blame them for going for it. They didn't cast anything. That's not what we wanted. I wanted them to cast out some stuff. That would have been nice, because we could have countered it. Instead, they are still on only 3 mana, so Eyetwitch here can take one for the team. We could rip the Intro to Prophecy, but I'm going to hold up my counterspell instead, because Mirrorshell Crab is a pretty great counterspell, especially when your opponent has missed land drops. Feels D's. We're going to discard the Blood-Tithe Harvester to churn through their deck a little bit. Fair enough. Now, if they try to cast a spell, which they do not... You know what? We need to get the Mirrorshell Crab into our graveyard if our plan is going to be successful here. Oh, this is on our end step, though. Hold up. I'm going to let them draw that card. We could have activated the Mirrorshell Crab so they didn't get the draw, which would have been a jerk move, but I think it's more important that we deal with whatever threat they throw down here. Alright, Eyetwitch. I'm going to grab the Environmental Sciences for the life gain. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. Those harvesters are applying way too much pressure. We need to do something about that. Now, notably, our opponent knows about the introduction of prophecy and the environmental sciences because they were... Oh, we're definitely countering that. Did we copy the casualty or did we copy the original ob? I think we copied the... Or we counted the casualty here. So they get one legendary Bobby Nix. Alright. Can't afford to losing life here, so we're gonna do that. Graveyard Shift, give me the crab. Now we're chilling with 5/7. Had we been able to cast Graveyard Shift at instant speed, that would have been great, but alas, it is not to be. And we can comfortably discard the Maestros Theater to the Ob Nixilis trigger. That's not the end of the world. Alright. We're not out of this thing yet. Okay, maybe now we are. They choose not to attack with the devils. Interesting, interesting. Enviro Sciences, let's gain a little bit of life. Grab up an island. No point in attacking into the devils. And actually, had I not played out the Tramway Station, had we done the Environmental Sciences first and then played out the island, we would have been able to have Graveyard Shift up. That would have been smart. Oh well. Alas, 'tis not to be. It was good, yeah, but we're getting overrun by Planeswalker value, and we haven't seen our Dusk Mangler, which is really where we need to be. And notably as well, we don't have any board wipes in this deck. And the reason for that is board wipes are all pretty much at rare or mythic rare. So we just don't have access to them, unfortunately. Just is what it is. Alright, going after Bobby. Bobby Nix. Yeah, so what we're seeing in this game is definitely, I mean, building with only commons and uncommons is very difficult. It is. It definitely, I mean, the power disparity between commons and uncommons and rares and mythics is very real. Like, we're seeing, I mean, mythic planeswalkers that are just kind of running us over right now. It just is what it is, unfortunately. But we also didn't really execute our game plan. We didn't see the Maestros Charm at any point. We haven't seen the Dusk Mangler. We didn't get what we needed in order to be successful. And our opponent did. So here we are. So these games happen. It's part of the deal. We've all been there. It's not fun, but, well, it is what it is. We're going to Graveyard Shift up an Eyetwitch, which feels mooey bad, so that we can get in front of that Den of the Bugbear. It's doesn't look like it's going to be enough still. They haven't, notably, they haven't activated Ob yet. Which does stink. Now we need to grab something from our sideboard. Doesn't really matter what, because it's just about to get chucked. I'm gonna create the spiders. They do lose Lolth in the process, though. Gonna let the Return Upon the Tide go because Intro to Annihilation can at least get Ob off the board. It's not gonna be enough though. We don't have an answer. We don't have any outs for what's going on right now. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. This deck really needs to be assertive and take the aggressive role early if it's gonna be successful. And in this game, we just failed to do that. So it happens. It's all good. Like, well, we wanna control the board on turn 2 and 3, and then turn the corner and reanimate something big sooner than their opponent sees it coming, and we just, yeah, we didn't hit there. Yeah, it's all good. Let's move on to the next game. All right, so our last game, one of the problems was I kept a hand with 2 Graveyard Shifts in it. This is, I don't want to fall into the same trap. I don't think that was going to get us there. 3-land Tainted Indulgence, Maestros Charm. This actually looks fantastic. I'm going to let one of the Tainted Indulgence go. And because of the way the land is shaping out, we're actually going to be able to hit Tainted Indulgence right on curve. So that's nice. That's real nice. I like that. I like that a lot. We could foretell Return Upon the Tide here, but I think I'd rather keep up Indulgence. Because if we don't keep up Indulgence, we're completely depending on Maestros Charm to help us fill our yard. Which, I mean, it will do that when given an opportunity. I want to let the theater go because we're doing fine on Manyas. All right, cool. So we got the double Maestros Charm as well as Mirrorshell Crab up. This feels pretty good. Our opponent is Broker's Charm going to draw. Do I want to be the jerk face? I'm going to be the jerk face. I'm going to deny them the card draw. Cool. I do like 9 card draw. It feels good. Feels real good. Not going to follow it up like in a Seeker's Chariot or something make me really sad. Wandering Emperor, that also makes me sad. yeah, that's fair. That's fair, opponent. Now, we can use Maestros Charm to blast the Wandering Emperor. But we also have a Graveyard Shift in hand, so I think we chill for now. My thought being, if we use Maestros Charm, get a Dusk Mangler into the graveyard and get an untapped land, which is not not crazy. Some pretty good stuff can happen for us. All right, so we're gonna take 3 here, in, on, or around the face. Go to end step. We're gonna Maestros Charm. Does this resolve? I'm seeing untapped blue on the other side. Dusk Mangler in the yard. Untap land. What more could you ask for? Let's go. But interestingly enough, this did not give us that delirium threshold that we needed. Mildly problematic. That's okay. Usually when you get a usually that activation, that mode of Maestro's Charm will get you there. Alright, so Dusk Mangler's coming out using Return Upon the Tide, because that will never have flash. Ding ding. So they have to discard a card, sacrifice creature, and lose 4 life. Feels pretty good. Alright, we're doing what we came here to do. And now we have a 5-drop in the graveyard, so Graveyard Shift is active. We also have a Mirrorshell Crab in the yard, 2 of them, in fact. So that's nice. Hit with a kill spell. No, we're going for the draws. Okay. Because if they hit Dusk Mangler with a kill spell and we're able to hit it with another Graveyard Shift, that's gravy, baby. Let's do it. I'm very happy when that kind of situation occurs. Now, if they hit it with an exile, all right, then I'll be sad. Like that. Like that makes me sad. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit, as a matter of fact. All right, we got Twitchy. I do like Eyetwitch. But we only have... Oh, we do have 2 Black Ministers. Okay, good. Let's go. We got some options here. We could Graveyard Shift up a Mirrorshell Crab. We can do that on their turn. Actually, we can do all of these things on their turn. So let's let them go and see what happens. So if they decide to buff the Samurai and swing, we can Graveyard Shift a Mirrorshell Crab up, soak up the hit, or, block it, and then you swing, crack back, which would feel pretty good. They don't buff up the Samurai. Let's go for it. Let's try to get the Mirrorshell Crab online. Ooh, no delay. I like that. I like that a lot. Ding, ding. Instant speed reanimation is strong. It's very strong, especially on attacks like that. Here comes Ren and 7. Good thing we have a ooh, even better. We have even better answers to that. All right. So it's going to go a little something like this. We're going to Fading Hope that token. Ding, ding. Don't need another land. Although a swamp, if there was any land I wanted, it would be a swamp. So that's something. We're then going to proceed to Infernal Grasp that token. Ding, ding. And we still have the Maestros Charm up. Feels great, man. Feels really great. And then we're going to attack into the Planeswalkers. Shabam, let's go. Alright, yeah, like I said, we're still holding Maestros Charm up. We can use that to help fill our yard and possibly get us another Reanimation spell, which is pretty awesome. Or just kill whatever they throw. That's fine, too. Nico's not really a great target for Maestros Charm because the real value is in those shard tokens. Oh, they only created one. They're keeping... they down-ticked to create two, sure. They're keeping mana up. Excuse me. Alright. Let's use first mode of Maestros Charm. They're going to see that coming? Sure. That's fine, actually. That's excellent, as a matter of fact. Great draw for us. Absolutely great, because we have another Mirrorshell Crab we can pull up. Crab's going after Nico. We're getting in for a little bit of damage to the face. Now, our opponent is kind of... They are tapped out in the moment, so I know they don't have any more counter spells. We have pressure on board. I'm going to have the drawing... They're using the shard token before the draw step. Because of the scry. Okay, alright. I can appreciate that. So they're choosing to get some... They're choosing to refill here. So they use Nico to refill their hand. That's exactly what they're for. So they hit a land and Imrith, Desert Doom. That's a card. Okay. Imrith resolves. And we get another crab. Ding ding. Alright. See, I'm using the expression ding ding a lot recently. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but here we are. Touch with everything, even the Eyetwitch. Boom, boom, boom. Do we have any other bodies? Do we have another Twitch or anything in the graveyard? We do not. Alright, mildly problematic. Let's just foretell this. We're going to take an Imrith to the... Well, actually, but it's kind of fun. In this situation, they can't really afford to attack with Imrith. They need to keep it back to block. And they have Cosima and the Omen Keel. Okay, oh, but they do decide to swing and hopefully draw into some answers to what we've got going on. Okay. I mean, 3 cards is 3 cards. That's legit. Ordain. Okay. They need to block both of these. So their team is going to get chewed up pretty hard here. I'm forcing the blocks, which is always nice. I do like forcing blocks. Yeah, got him. Great game. All right. So it worked. The deck actually worked. Also, I'm filming this right after rotation, or not, after season ends. So like the ladder just turned over, which is why we're in silver. But yeah, anyway, that was fun. Let's go on to the next game. I'm seeing Eyetwitch, Maestros Charm, and Tainted Indulgence all in the opening hand, which actually feels pretty good. So we're going to keep this. Now we are down to 2, you know, we're only on 2 land, which is pretty notable. Let's get Twitchy going first. Let's see. Graveyard Shift, I'm happy to see you. I'm showing green, so I'm not too worried about hasters at this moment. Selesnya, Kami Transience, we're going up against the enchantment deck. You know the one. You know that one, the enchantment deck. Maestros Theater, grabbing up a mountain. Fixing our mana perfectly. I don't know why I said mana there instead of mana, but here we are. I'm actually going to chip in for a little bit of damage here. And I'm going to hold the Tainted Indulgence up. Foretelling Return upon the Tide is tempting here. But the Tainted Indulgence is just more important at this moment. So we need to draw into some lands. Here we go. Well, I asked for lands. I can't be mad when I receive them. Alright, so our options are to foretell Return Upon the Tide, but we know we have an untapped land in our hand, so we will be able to rip Return Upon the Tide or Graveyard Shift next turn. Perfectly fine. So instead, I'm going to hold back Maestros Charm and probably use it as a kill spell. Ranger class. Kami's buff up. They get a little homie there. Another Ranger class, eh? Yeah, let's just rip this now. Get rid of one of those Comedy of Transients. I want the Dusk Mangler to have a large impact on the board. And one of the best ways to do that is... I'll let this through. And to have our opponent have as few creatures as possible is really ideal. Alright. Dusk Mangler is coming out, killing one of those little wolves. I don't know what else they would sacrifice here. And now the cool thing is, if the Dusk Mangler dies in combat, which the Comedy of Transients wants to swing. So if they buff the Comedy of Transients next turn, which presumably they will, they can swing, we double block, they kill Eyetwitch and Dusk Mangler, we get value upon value, and then reanimate Dusk Mangler again, and give him another hit. So I'm feeling pretty good about our position here in this game. This is looking good. We got 2 Graveyard Shifts and another Tainted Indulgence, which is just lovely. Absolutely lovely. Buffing up the Ranger class. Alright. Swing with the Comedy of Transients. Give him the double block. We will take 1 damage here. But everybody dies. Absolutely everything on the board is going to die here, which feels great. We learn. We'll grab the Expanded Anatomy. I have a soft spot for Expanded Anatomy. Maestros Theater's coming down. It's going to grab up, I think, a Black Source. We'll gain a little bit of life, which is nice, and we can hold the Graveyard Shift back, as well as Tainted Indulgence. So that Dusk Mangler is going to be coming down again pretty soon. It's going to be nice. And Flash Reanimation is cash money. Okay, they're going to learn with the Sparring Regimen. Yeah, it resolves. Have fun, opponent. Do your thing. Grab an Inkling Summoning. Okay, fair enough. Another Ranger class, eh? Dusk Mangler's coming back. The wolf gets sacrificed. They hit... The 3rd Ranger class enters. They do the thing, which is fine. They have to discard something, so it's either that one card that we haven't seen yet or the Inkling Summoning. They do let the Summoning go, which is great. I do love... The Fading Hope here was the perfect draw. I do love attritioning out our opponents pretty violently. So we're going to Fading Hope that. We got an Eyetwitch. Nah, let's put Eyetwitch away. We can scry Twitchy to the bottom here. And then we're going to Expand Anatomy our Dusk Mangler. Chip in for a Vigilance 7. Getting down to 3, and we still have Tainted Indulgence up. And we have the Graveyard Threshold, so it's just a 2-mana draw 2. You know, Dusk Mangler's now 7/6. That feels really good. Alright, they're going to touch our Spirit Realm. I don't love it when my Spirit Realm gets touched. You know, show me on the doll where the Spirit Realm touched you. Let's see, do we have any... I mean, at this point, Eyetwitch is looking like our best Reanimator target, which is not ideal. Part of the other challenge with this deck is that with the restriction of not using rares or mythics is it doesn't have creature lands. You'll notice, like, this is where a Hull of Storm Giants or a Hive of the Eye Tyrant would be dope. You know, just rip it and jam for the win. But we don't have that, unfortunately. Well, we got Mirrorshell Crabs. We got an Eyetwitch in the graveyard. We don't have the mana to use both the Mirrorshell Crab and the Graveyard Shift, which is a little unfortunate, but if they try to cast out a creature, we can get a Mirrorshell Crab into our graveyard and tap them down pretty hard. Oh, we do actually have what it takes to counter this. Check it. So we're going to channel this Mirrorshell Crab, targeting the Jukai Naturalist. They pay for it and think, haha, you fool. To which I reply with, no. Still no. Yeah, was that a 2-for-1? That was, I mean, was that just a straight 2-for-1? Yeah, was it worth it? I think so. We'll see. And we're holding up instant speed Reanimator. Still makes me happy every time. Every frickin' time. They need a land. They've got 1 card left. Now they can uptick their Ranger class. Unlock the top of their library. If it's a critter, they can jam it here. But it's apparently not. We're going to reanimate our Mirrorshell Crab into an empty board with our opponent at 3. Jam for the win. Got him. Feels good. All right. We took down Green, White, and Chamas. That actually feels really good. So this has been a budget Reanimator. This is a Reanimator deck using no mythics or rares. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. I'd appreciate it very, very much. If you'd like to see more budget videos like this, please let me know. This is kind of a departure from what I normally do on the channel. Usually I do fun, janky brew deck techs as well as individual card or combo deep dives where we look at an individual card, see how it functions, and do the, you know, kind of break it down as to how you can use it and how to combat it. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel. I'd love to see you around. I also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/hamhawks42. I'm there Monday through Friday starting at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'd love to see you out there. You can actually challenge me to build decks as well using channel points, which is a currency that you get just by hanging out in the channel. So if you want to see me build around a specific card or around a specific combo, that's a great way to do it. And if the deck is fun or interesting, I may very well do a deck tech on it and even give you a shout out. So I'd love to see you there. Thank you so much for checking out the video and making it till the end, and I'll catch you on the next one.